today I wanted to do a video on how to get comfortable in a ring sling. So I generally wear my right shoulder, which is my dominant side. Most people are comfortable wearing it on their dominant side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the rings with my right hand and I'm going to take them around my back and just lay it right up on over my shoulder where it kind of cups my shoulder and it's landing right about.
Hello!
Sophie, can you bend down? And then I have the tail coming under my opposite arm. And then I just like to gather it here so it's a little easier to work with. And then I put my fingers through the rings and then I'm going to bring the tail up to my fingers and then just pull it all the way through the rings. I like to do a little check here and make sure that this is right. So I have the same side of the wrap showing here as I do on my shoulder, so I didn't get it stuck or anything on my back. What?
That's not twisting.
Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, Sophie, you got to get down. I'm going to split the rings here and put my fingers just through the bottom rings. Your pigtails look cute. Can you get down, please? Get down. Nobody can see what I'm doing. They just see Sophie's hair. Okay, and then now that I have it through the bottom ring, it's kind of, Sophie, you need to get down, please. I can't see. And now it's kind of twisted and bunched in here, so what you want to do is straighten it out. So you're going to pull it out about it just a little bit so you have enough to work with and start at one edge and just work your fingers across it all the way to the other edge, and I'm just gathering it in my other hand as I'm doing that all the way to this side, and then you're just going to pull it through the rings like that. So then you have a really nice gather pattern, so it's a lot easier to work with. And then what I see a lot of people do is they start with this pouch really loose, and then they have a ton of tightening to do, and then their rings end up really low and they can't figure out why, and that's one of the biggest things that I see is just they have their pouch way too loose. So generally my tip for that is to just start with enough that you have enough room to get the baby in and loose enough to make the seat, and then you won't have a ton of tightening to do, so your rings will stay high and it'll be a lot more comfortable. So generally with a small baby, you would just need enough to be able to fit like your arm in nice and snug. With her, I have it a little further out because she's bigger. And then I'm going to put her up on the shoulder without the rings and make sure that they're nice and high. You can even have them a little like almost on your shoulder because as you put them in, sometimes they can go down. So I put my hand underneath the pouch, I grab her feet and guide her into the sling. And I like to leave it bunched like this and just kind of sit her on it and adjust my rings here as needed. So as you saw, I kind of pulled up and pulled my rings back up into position because this is a good point to check to see if your rings are going to be lower, because after you set the seat, it's a lot harder to get the rings to be back up high. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that top rail. So and as you see here, I don't have a lot of room. It's not super loose. It's actually securing her pretty well, so I feel comfortable even like letting go even though it's not completely tightened down. And then I'm going to reach under here and I'm going to pull up to make her seat. Stop, please. And then at this point, I'm going to adjust my shoulder. So I'm going to pull this down so that it's cupping my shoulder how I like it. I'm going to check my rings and they're still nice and high. And then pull this up on her back a little bit more, all the way up to the base of the neck. Okay. And so another tip that I found super helpful for comfort was securing this. Please stop. Securing the seat just from knee to knee, thinking of it as like a straight line from knee to knee rather than going up towards the belly button, because I found she always felt like she was kind of falling and sinking into the seat if I focused on making it up towards the belly button. So what I do is I reach behind here. You see all this extra slack here? So I'm going to pull that all the way around and I go underneath her seat, making a straight line from knee to knee. Like that. So see, she still has a nice really deep seat, but I just got all this slack out of that. And so when I pull that through the rings, it just makes it feel so much more secure because she's in there. It's not, there's no extra slack pulling up to her belly button or anything like that. So yeah. And so I have rings nice and high. You could have her more on your hips. She always ends up kind of like off center in a ring sling like this, but that's how we get comfortable in a ring sling, and just focusing on going through the whole width of the wrap to tighten. And if you find that you get to a point where you're like, I just can't tighten anymore, but I need to tighten it, try going a little ways in through the tail, because sometimes you'll have so much slack in one area, but you'll kind of like reach the end of its stretch, like you just can't pull any more there until you make some of the rest of the wrap like meet up with it. If hopefully that makes sense.
Look, Mommy.
Are you wearing my hat? And yeah, so I hope that was helpful in how we get comfortable in a ring sling. Leave comments below if you have any questions.
Bye.
Bye.